Jai Sachitanan.
Jai Sachitanan.
Jai Sachitanan. Buenos días a todos. Buenos días.
Jai Sachitanan. Yes, wonderful. Highest namaskars to the Paramatma within each one of you here.
Los más elevados saludos a todos los que están aquí.
Yes, so wonderful to see all of you this morning, and let us begin our satsang with a three mantra. Huh?
Bueno, lindo verlos a todos esta mañana y vamos a comenzar con el Trimantra.
Yes. Yes. It looks like it's Brian in the car, huh? And Arman, yes, wonderful. Let's wait for him to arrange his. Yes. Jai Sachidanan, Brian. Jai Sachidanan.
Jai Sachidanan.
Wonderful. Looks like he's driving. So pay attention to the driving and listen to the satsang. Huh? Yes.
I know speak English.
I know you don't.
Que prestes atención, presta atención al manejar y no te distraigas con el satsang.
Sí, claro. Muchas gracias.
Thank you, yes.
Wonderful. All right. We welcome you to this satsang and to Herman and Tella, Gabi, everyone. All right. So let us begin this. Let's begin the three mantra with Herman. Herman, sing the three mantra, please. Oh, wait.
No se te escucha, Germán, para cantar el Trimantra.
Say something. We can't hear you, Herman.
Decí algo porque no te escuchamos, por favor.
No se escucha.
Okay, try again.
Trata de nuevo, a ver.
Okay, all right.
No se te escucha, Sherman.
All right.
Germán, okay. Tal vez tengas que subir el sonido de tu computador. ¿No? Perdón.
No.
All right.
Tienes que salir y volver a entrar.
All right, so we will have. Okay, so then why don't we go ahead and have Marcella, Luz, go ahead and sing the three mantra, please.
¿Cantas vos, Luz, el Trimantra?
Muy bien, Jai Sachitanan.
Jai Sachidanan.
Namo Vigrahaya, Namo Arihantana, Namo Siddhanam, Namo Ayarenam, Namo Vasayanam, Namo Loye Sava Sahunam, Eso Pancha Namukarom, Savapava Panashano, Mangalanam Cha Savesim, Padaman Kavai Mangalam. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Jai Sachitanam. Namo Vitragai. Namo Arihantanam. Namo Siddhanam. Namo Ayariyanam. Namo Vasayanam. Namo Loye Sava Sahunam. Eso pancha namukaro. Savapava panashano. Mangalanam cha savesim. Padaman kabai mangalam. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Jai Sachitanam. Namo Vitraga. Namo Arihantanam. Namo Sitanam. Namo Ayareyanam. Namo Vasayanam. Namo Loye Sava Sahunam. Eso pancha namukaro. Savapava panashano. Mangalanam cha savesim. Padaman kabai mangalam. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Jai Sachitanam. Jai Sachitanam. Jai Sachitanam.
Jai Sachidanand. Thank you. All right. I'm just going to mute Brian. Yes, okay. But I hope you can still hear us, Brian. That's fine. If you can hear us, that's good enough.
Nos escuchamos, Brian, porque te puso el micrófono mudo por el ruido. ¿Escuchás bien?
Me parece ahí así, perfecto.
Bárbaro, bárbaro. Gracias. He listened perfect. He hear perfect. Yes.
Okay. So I will. I'll mute him. Okay, good. And we welcome Juana Vega. All right. So he keeps on unmuting. So
no le saques el sonido vos, que él ya el Shuddha te puede apagar el sonido él.
Okay.
Porque sigue haciendo ruido. No, mute him.
Okay. All right. Okay. When you want to speak, you let us know, and then we can recognize you.
Cuando quieras hablar, lo pedís y te abre el micrófono, Brian.
Yeah, anyone who wants to speak, all they need to do is to just unmute their microphones or write something on the chat. And well, wonderful. With that beautiful three mantra from our dear Luz, we begin our magnificent satsang. The satsang is magnificent because we are with Dada. That's what makes the satsang magnificent, you see.
Vamos a comenzar ahora con el magnífico satsang de Dada. Yeah. ¿Y por qué es magnífico? Porque estamos con Dada.
I'll give you some the direct words of Dada from 1967 to give you the importance of this thing, you see. It's his words. He was in Bhadran. Bhadran, as you know, is a village or a large town where he spent most of his youth as well as his young life until he got married. You see, he was, in Bhadran.
Yes. Voy a compartir unas palabras de Dada que él dijo en 1967 en Badran, que era una villa de una gran ciudad, que él vivió en su juventud hasta que se casó.
So this satsang was happening in 1967, in December 1967, and he says, essentially, he says here that on my name, on the name of Dada, on my name. In other words, with Dada, as if we, in the name of Dada, whatever you do, anyone who does anything will get salvation, you see. Anyone and everyone, regardless of whether he does something good or something bad, he will attain salvation. Salvation means liberation.
En diciembre de 1967 Dada dijo esto. Dice, cuando en nombre de Dada, cuando en mi nombre Dada, pidan, tendrán la salvación. No importa que lo que esté sucediendo sea bueno o no, tendrán la salvación.
Whether he does anything bad or anything good, as long as he holds on to my name, Dada, he will attain liberation. This is a guarantee, you see. No matter how, and he says, no matter how he worships my name, because there are so many ways of worshipping the name Dada. So let's talk ways of worshipping the name Dada. Okay, worshipping the name, which name? Dada. And Dada is not M. Patel. Dada is the Lord, the eternal Lord within each one of us, within Tela, Harman, Brian, Cecilia, you see.
Dada dijo, no importa qué es lo que esté haciendo, qué es lo que esté haciendo, que sea bueno o que sea malo, es cómo pronuncia, cómo reverencia, cómo trabaja, cómo rinde culto al nombre de Dada, y obtendrá la salvación. Y yo no soy Ambalal Patel, yo soy Dada, el mismo Dada que está en cada uno de todos nosotros.
He even goes to this extent that if you say Dada is no good, Dada is a bad man, Dada, if you curse Dada also, Dada says even if he curses Dada, that man will attain liberation. This is the power of the name of Dada.
Wow. No importa que los seres humanos digan que Dada es malo, digan alguna cosa así, incluso hasta que lo maldigan. El solo hecho de pronunciar el nombre de Dada lo va a llevar a la salvación.
We have noticed it, we have experienced it in all of these 50 years, you see. There were human beings who were absolutely opposed to Dada when he was around and would have very negative feelings when they saw Dada and would speak negatively about Dada, saying, oh, he's trying to be a god, he's trying to start his own religion, he's trying to get attention and something for himself, etc., you see. And he is a fake, you see, he's a fake God, calls himself God, etc., you see. And all of these human beings in the last 30, 40 years after Dada passed away, since Niroma, or even with our current Gnani, they are coming, crying, weeping, and asking for forgiveness, you see, and saying, please forgive us, and they are taking the Gnan Vidi, you see.
Yes. Experimentamos, ¿no?, que personas hace 50 años estaban absolutamente opuestos a Dada y decían que él hablaba hablaba negativamente de él, que él se creía un dios, que quería toda la atención para él, que era falso, que quería crear una nueva iglesia, una nueva religión y todas clases de cosas así negativas. Y la experiencia fue que después que Dada partió, 30 años después vinieron llorando y pidiendo perdón a Dada y tomaron el Nambidi.
Yeah. Now, the worship of his name, is not just by repeating his name, Dada, Dada, Dada. That's just one way. Because the moment you or I or anyone says Dada, you obviously visualize him in the physical world as the gentleman with the black hat and a coat and a garland over him, right? This is how you visualize Dada walking around, you see. Even when he's walking on the streets, he's wearing a garland, you see. He's wearing that garland,
La alabanza a Dada no es solamente decir Dada, 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 ¿no? También es cuando decimos Dada y lo evocamos su imagen, evocamos su presencia física, lo evocamos con el sombrero, con el saco, lo evocamos con la guirnalda, porque cuando él estaba también caminaba por las calles con las guirnaldas. Entonces pronunciar su nombre y aparece su imagen.
Thank you, Marcella. Marcella is typing this in Spanish. He goes on to say on December 9th of 1967, and this material is not available in English. I'm directly translating for you. These are his original words, okay? And this is in Vadran. He's saying that this entire world is dependent on Prakriti, You see? Prakriti. What is Prakriti? On their Prakriti. You see, everyone is dependent on their Prakriti. Prakriti means that which was formed in the last life and now presents as this body-mind complex in this life that is identified as Luz or as Stella or as Brian or as Gabi, you see. So entire world is dependent and governed by their Prakriti. Wherever the Prakriti leads them, they go there, you see. The Prakriti, they are not independent of their Prakriti, you see.
Yes. Estas palabras que estoy compartiendo con ustedes son palabras que no fueron traducidas. Yo ahora las estoy traduciendo para ustedes. Estas son palabras que dijo Dada en diciembre de 1967. Son las palabras originales de Dada. Y dice que el mundo entero depende de su Prakruti. ¿Qué es el Prakruti? Es la vida es lo que se formó en la vida pasada y ahora aparece como la mente, el cuerpo y el habla de todos, ¿no? De Lu, Gaby, Patricia. Y el Prakruti gobierna, no es independiente de esto que se formó en la vida pasada. No somos independientes del Prakruti.
Prakruti is this mind, body and speech complexes. You see, everyone is guided and governed by their Prakriti, except when they receive the Gnan. When they receive this Gnan, then you are no longer guided by your Prakriti. In other words, you are no longer dependent on your Prakriti. You become independent from your own Prakriti. You see, the Tela complex, the Maritza complex separates, you see, and you are now independent. Eu sou Amapura, soy Amapura.
Yes. El Prakruti es es la mente, el cuerpo y el habla, es el complejo del cuerpo, del cual dependemos hasta que tomamos el Gnani, y a partir de ese momento no dependemos del Prakruti. El complejo del cuerpo, mente, habla y cuerpo es independiente, porque yo soy alma pura.
Yeah. See, this Amapura now, the Amapura has now become the Purush, you see. So the self separates, you see. The self now separates from the Prakriti, you see. And that's what happens. The Prakriti, you and I separate from the Prakriti in the Gnan Vidhi, you see.
Yes. El alma pura es el Purush, es el ser separado del Prakruti en el Gnani. Yo
Yes.
soy alma pura.
Yeah. And you see this, he goes on to say, now this you and I know, all of us know, but there is this, here is the new thing that is coming up. Look at the, we'll gain magnificent insights into the compassion of our dearest Dada Shri, you see, Dada. And this is what he says about the older people, the older age group Mahatmas, you see, Mahatmas in their 70s, 80s, 90s, okay? He's talking about these age group Mahatmas who take the Gnan Vidhi much later in life. In other words, they take the Gnan Vidhi at 70, 80, 90 years old, you see? Not like how you and I have done, you see?
Bueno, sabemos esto por la inmensa compasión de Dadashri, ¿no? Y estas palabras, y esto se debe a los Mahatmas que tienen 70, 80, 90 años y a esa edad tomaron el Gnani y no como nosotros que lo tomamos mucho antes.
And for these Mahatmas, he's saying, now that they have received the Gnan at such an old age, how can this Gnan, this magnificent knowledge, as well as the science, which is higher than the knowledge, you see. Knowledge is that which is attained through intellect, and Vignan, the science, Vignan, is something where the intellect is not needed. It, you rise into the science of the self, Ama science, you see. He's saying, how can these poor elderly people attain this Vignan? In other words, reach, how can they attain the beauty of this that they are receiving, you see?
Acá dice que para ellos haber tomado el Gnani en edades avanzadas, ellos se preguntan, ¿no? ¿Cómo puede ser que vayan a alcanzar esta magnífica ciencia del Vignan? Y que no es a través del intelecto.
Yeah, so he says this Vignan. So he says, because as you and I well know that as each one of us, come to the evening of our life, get older, like our parents, you see, the faculties of the brain are not as sharp, you see, and everything slows down. So, so all of these subtle points in satsang are not easy to really assimilate, you see. are not easy to assimilate, right? So now this is how Dada poses the problem. He's not talking about you and me, he's talking about the elderly, the elderly Mahatmas, you see.
Bueno, todo esto que Tata está diciendo se le está refiriendo a los primeros Mahatmas mayores, ¿no? Y esto dice que, bueno, que todos sabemos que con la edad las facultades del cerebro es como que ya no son tan brillantes y como que las cosas cuestan más absorber.
And so he essentially, what he is saying in his essence is, for them, now he says, I tell them that this murti, murti means the visible shape of a human being. There is an invisible shape. So here we can see Fabi, Stella, you see, and Patricia, because we see their visible face. That's called murti. And then inside the murti is the amurta. Amurta means the invisible, you see. So he says, just see this. Imagine if Shuddha was Dada, okay? Then he says, just see this visible form of this face. Just keep on seeing this visible form, you see, of this face, and remember it. Remember this face. Remember this face. You see. And if that remains in your memory, then you will attain salvation. This is beautiful sentence of his, you see.
Yes. Mantén para Dadashi le está hablando a los Mahatmas de aquel tiempo, ¿no? Y les dice, para ellos les digo que este murti, que es la forma visible, que es lo que vemos, ¿no? Lo que está dentro es amurta y es lo invisible. Entonces les dicen, mantén la forma visible de esta cara y recuerda. Y si permanece la cara, van a obtener la salvación.
This is amazingly beautiful. And then he goes on to say that all your sins will leave. All your sins will go away. You see, he says this Ambalal in Patel is just a temple. It's just a temple, but inside the Lord God has manifest. Inside this temple of M. Patel, God has manifest.
Yes. Esto es maravilloso, ¿no? Y dice que todos los sentidos se irán. Y Ambalal Patel, es el templo en el que se manifestó Dios.
Yes. And he is saying, and all the sins will be wiped away. This is very important, okay? All sins will be wiped away.
Y
Just by the memory of this face that you have met me. So he says, if you just remember this face, your work will be done.
Yes. Esto es maravilloso porque dice como todos los pecados se borrarán si puedes mantener el recuerdo de esta cara.
He says this, and he's talking about Dada live, the face, you see. He says, this is the Lord of this. He says, this is the Lord of the 14 worlds. There are 14 worlds. This world of ours is the only one world. There are another 13 worlds like this, you see. He says, and he is the Lord of the 14 worlds.
Cuando se refiere a esto, ¿no? A recordar esta cara, y es el Lord de los 14 mundos, y que vivimos ahora es un mundo, y hay 13 mundos más.
And he says, you will not be able to see that. You will not be able to see the Lord of the 14 worlds Therefore, continue to do this darshan. Continue to do this darshan, of this face. Yes, just in memory, like you and I, even if we just think of Dada, anybody says Dada, you see him exactly like you see in so many ways, like the picture of that Luz has right now, or Cecilia has, you see, or Maritza has, you see. So if any face of Dada automatically appears within us at the deepest level of our existence, you see, it's there, and everything else in this world will get wiped away, will move away from us, except this Dada, you see, except this Dada.
Todo lo que no es solamente decir Dada, ¿no? Sino que esta cara, esta presencia aparece desde lo más profundo de nosotros. Y esto es lo que va a permanecer.
Yeah, so you see this. This is the worship. This, it has become sumiran. Sumiran means the indelible memory. You see, if you go to Abu Dhabi or if you go to Dubai, you will see these Arabs, in white clothes, you see, but if you watch them, they've got a little rosary in their hand. Not all of them, but some. The older ones do, and they are continuously saying, they are going like this, Allah, 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 Allah. Every time they just move, a beat, they say Allah, Allah, Allah. They need this to remember Allah, which is the Lord, It's the same thing to say Lord Jesus or Lord Krishna. It really doesn't matter. But you see this. Whereas for us, this Dada, we don't have to, you and I and all of us now do not have to do any of that. It is an eternal, internal presence. You see, this name has become part of our existence, our being, you see.
Samirán es una palabra que significa, por ejemplo, si van a Abu Dhabi, las personas en sus ropas tienen como un pequeño rosario y lo van tocando, van diciendo el nombre de Allah, 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 como para recordarlo. Y puede ser Allah, Jesús, Krishna, pero para nosotros es Dada. Y nosotros no tenemos que tener un rosario para estar acordándonos de él, porque su presencia está en nosotros.
And for us, natural chanting of Dada has begun. You see, Dada has begun. The moment, but it becomes critical. All he says, and I want to read further, and he says, and not only that, but anybody who remains with me with this visualization of my face, you see, Dada, anyone, you see, whether he has done good things in life or whether he has done bad things in life, you see, all of them will attain salvation. All will attain salvation. All will attain liberation.
Yes. Bueno, para nosotros este natural canto interno ya comenzó. Y Dadashri dice, quien permanece con la visualización de este rostro de Dada, no importa lo que haya hecho, bueno y malo, va a obtener la salvación.
Now he says, this is exactly what I am telling this Lord of the 14 worlds who has manifest within me. I tell them that anyone and everyone who remembers this face or this name, Dada, lift them up into liberation. This is what I tell the one who has arrived within me, you see, who has arrived and has taken presence within me, you see. This Lord that we talked about, you see.
Yes. Esto es exacto lo que el Lord de los 14 mundos dice. Todo quien recuerde esta cara obtendrá la liberación, no importa lo que haya sucedido. Es una garantía.
And he says,
la cara y el nombre, ¿no?
Yeah, he says, yeah, he says, I'm telling, I'm passing this on. This is I'm saying to this Lord within me, you see. So on this name of Dada, therefore, in a very subtle but exact way, you are connecting with this Lord of the 14 worlds, and who only manifests in some era of the time cycle, this entire time cycle, you see, very rarely. And now he has come in this temple of A.M. Patel, you see. So please, this, this is so precious. This is the beauty of what this name Dada and this face Dada is all about, you see. Yeah.
Yes. Dice, y yo les estoy pasando el Lord de los 14 mundos de mí en la exacta manera que se manifiesta. Es en ciclos de tiempo, y es raro, ¿no? Y es precioso y especial. Y de esta manera es este nombre y es esta cara la que tienen que mantener.
Yeah, so the worship of the name Dada, even, for the elderly ladies, the old ladies and who just received the Gnanvidhi, or the old gentlemen, you see, everywhere in this world, and they don't understand all this finer stuff that's going on, but it doesn't really matter. If they remember Dada, it's more than enough. It is more than enough. And and that is the essence of what we are talking about, because the rest he takes care of. You see, this Lord takes care of the rest. You see, this is the connection of our Gnani Purush Dadashri for this world of ours. He came for a brief period in this world and he left, but he established such a magnificent connection that is going to take millions to moksha, you see.
Yes. Probablemente los Mahatmas mayores no entiendan todo en la totalidad, pero eso no es lo importante. Y es más que suficiente porque es el Lord el que cuida de todos, del resto. Es la conexión. Y vino por poco tiempo, pero en ese poco tiempo va a llevar a millones al moksha.
Yes. So you see this, the worship of the name Dada is at so many different levels. You see, the highest worship of Dada is through his 5 agnas. You see, when you are in any one of his 5 agnas, you are in the highest worship of Dada. You see, and it begins with the visualization of his face in the Gnanvidhi, after the Gnanvidhi. This is a very specific instruction, to everyone who takes the Gnanvidhi.
La vara dada, ¿no? La alabanza a Dada tiene diferentes niveles. El más elevado de todos es estar en las 5 agnas. Y dentro de esto, el primero es visualizar, luego del Gnanvidhi, visualizar la presencia de Dada.
And so that is why all of you know that after the Gnan Vidhi, you see, when you go to bed at night, you are given his picture, you see, and because you haven't met him live, but his photograph, you see, and you with his visualizing his face, you go to bed saying Soyamapura, Soyamapura. Excuse me. Yeah.
Entonces luego de Gnanvidhi nos dan una foto de Dada y nos vamos a dormir con la foto de Dada visualizándolo y repitiendo soy alma pura, soy alma pura, soy alma pura, soy alma pura. You're on mute.
These are his live words that I shared with you very early in 1967, you see. But they are very powerful, you see, extremely powerful because they are being given to you, each one. And we are sharing them as they are, you see.
Estas son grandes palabras que dijo Dada en 1967. Es una palabra muy poderosa y yo se las estoy dando tal cual las dijo.
You see, it really doesn't matter when some people say, oh, I don't like to look at his face. Or it really doesn't matter. Sooner or later, as the events of life will turn you into this Nididhyasan. And this visualization is called Nididhyasan, right? Nididhyasan. You see, that is called this visualization, you see. But remember, just for the older people or nothing else, if ever a time comes when you cannot remember anything else, it really doesn't matter. Just the face of Dada will take care of you,
Yes. Hay personas que dicen, no me gusta mirarle la cara a Dada, pero en algún momento son llevados naturalmente a tener la presencia de Dada constantemente. Eso se llama Nididhyasan, que es estar en la presencia de su cara. Y no importa a los mayores, no importa nada, van a ser cuidados.
I know of a lot of Mahatmas, most Mahatmas here in the US or even in India. If anyone falls sick, that person goes, he wants the picture of the photograph of Dada to be placed in the wall directly facing his pillow, in the front wall inside the hospital, right there. It doesn't matter. I want a little face of, just face of Dada, photograph of Dada, you see. And so the Nididhyasan begins, regardless of what medicines you get, regardless of what kind of medicines go into your system, and whatever happens to the brain. And then Dada's Nididhyasan continues, Dada's visualization continues, you see.
Yes. En India hay personas que por ahí están enfermas y van al hospital y quieren tener una foto, aunque sea pequeña, pero tener una foto de Dada. Y lo único que quieren es solo poder mirar su cara. Y más allá de cualquier tratamiento que le estén haciendo, tomando la medicina que estén haciendo, ellos quieren permanecer en Nididhyasan, en la presencia del rostro de Dada.
Yes. Okay, so just after sharing those few words of Dada, I will share the screen with you. So we go to our Dada Vani of Vyavasthit.
Right. The last sutra we've done is 2456.
Okay, all right, 2456.
Yes. That is done.
Yeah, 2456 was done.
Yes.
Yeah, all right. So we pause here on this. You can see Dada, our dear Dada. Can you see this picture?
Yes.
Okay, wonderful. Yeah, wonderful. Yeah, and so now we continue. It's on page 30 something, I think. And 2699 we finished. 2456. Yes, we finished this, huh?
Yes.
The fear. I think only thing is this last part here, Patricia, we just need to, did we do this? Say, from here you go to the station and you want to catch the train. Just this last part, just a little bit, and then we continue here, okay?
Okay, okay.
And, excuse me. So say you want to go, from here you go to the station. You want to catch the train and are in a hurry because you have an appointment for a court date, court case. Nevertheless, you couldn't catch the train and you missed the train, then that is that. That has become the past. Now, what will happen in court now? That is in the future, and the future is in the hands of Vyavasthit. Therefore, you should prevail in the present. Such analysis happens instantly for us. For you, it takes a little time. The entire Gnan becomes present for us on the moment. So, this prevailing in future and this last part, we continuously live in the present. The Gnani does.
Digamos que desde aquí vas a la estación, quieres tomar el tren y tienes prisa, porque tienes una cita en el tribunal, en un juicio. Sin embargo, no pudiste tomar el tren y lo perdiste. Entonces, eso es todo. Eso se ha convertido en el pasado. Ahora, ¿qué pasará en el tribunal? Ese es el futuro, y el futuro está en manos de Vyavasthit. Por lo tanto, debes prevalecer en el presente. Tal análisis ocurre instantáneamente para nosotros. Para ti se necesita un poco de tiempo. Todo el Gnan se hace presente para nosotros en el momento. Nosotros vivimos continuamente en el presente.
The examples of all of this are happening to all of us in daily life, you see. But now we have to be missing a train, being late for something, and something else happens. So you planned something and yet something else happens. And then that is Vyavasthit. You had tried your best, you were actually on the way of going for the train, etc. But after it happens, and when it happens, it is Vyavasthit. And that allows you to remain in the present. This Vyavasthit knowledge itself allows you and I to remain in the present, you see.
Bueno, cualquier cosa que nosotros nos propongamos hacer, podemos hacer todas las cosas de la mejor manera posible y va a pasar lo que tenga que pasar, como en este caso que el tren se fue. Y eso está absolutamente todo en manos de Vyavasthit y nosotros nos mantenemos en el presente.
Okay, so we go to the next sutra now. When the self, pote, self, some small, not the small s, or pote, or the one with the belief, you see, the one with the belief, or The one, yeah, one who has the belief. When the self becomes the non-doer, akarta, then the understanding that Vyavasthit is the doer will happen. Only then will the world be understood as it is. As long as Vyavasthit is not understood, Sankalp Vikalp, Sankalp means I am this, and Vikalp means this is happening to me or mine, you see. And as long as Vyavasthit is not understood, Sankalp and Vikalp will not depart. Fear will not depart. Anger, pride, deceit, greed will not depart. Aptasutra 29:51. Very major Aptasutra. Okay.
Cuando el ser con minúsculas, potei, el que tiene la creencia, se convierte el no hacedor, akarta. Entonces, la comprensión de que Vyavasthit es el hacedor ocurrirá. Solo entonces el mundo será entendido como es. Mientras el Vyavasthit no sea comprendido, el Sankalp, Vikalp, yo soy esto, o esto me sucede a mí o a los míos, no se apartará el miedo, no se apartará la ira, el orgullo, el engaño, la codicia, no se apartarán. Este es un Aptasutra muy elevado.
Now Dada explains it. The world is absolutely Vyavasthit. Why didn't the Lord disclose this? He did not disclose the truth because wicked people would misuse it and people would get on the wrong path. With the knowledge of Vyavasthit, Sankalp Vikalp, just described above, will not happen to you. In this world, if doership, karta panu, doer is karta and doership is karta panu, if doership goes away, then Vyavasthit can be understood. As long as doership does not go away, Vyavasthit cannot be understood. When the self, or otherwise known as the one inside each one of us, the one with the belief, you see, becomes the non-doer, then only who the doer of this is understood. One is not the doer, and yet he believes himself to be. So, to be the doer. So, how can this be understood?
El mundo es absolutamente Vyavasthit. ¿Por qué el Lord no reveló esto? Él no reveló la verdad porque la gente malvada haría mal uso de ella y la gente se pondría en el camino equivocado. Con el conocimiento de Vyavasthit, Sankalp y Kalp, no te sucederá. En este mundo, si el hacedor, Kartapanu, desaparece, entonces Vyavasthit puede ser entendido. Mientras el hacedor no desaparezca, el Vyavasthit no puede ser entendido. Cuando el ser, Potei, el que tiene la creencia, se convierte en el no hacedor, entonces se entiende quién es el hacedor de esto. El uno no es el hacedor, pero cree que lo es. Entonces, ¿cómo puede ser entendido esto? ¿Cómo puede entender esto? ¿Cómo se puede entender esto?
So the questioner then says, but one does not let go of his doership.
Dice, uno pregunta, ¿no? Uno no se desprende de su condición de hacedor.
Yeah, and then the Dadashri says, yes, and that is why he does not let anything else become the doer, does he? Wait a minute, let me just check. And that is why he does not. And that is why he does not let anything else become the doer, does he? You see. Let's continue. The world is Vyavasthit. However, because of doership, imagination will inevitably arise. Imagination is kalpana. You see, because you're the doer, then your imagination will arise. The problem is solved from the moment one becomes the non-doer, a karta. Until then, anger, pride, deceit, greed do not go away. Even if one turns from doing bad deeds to doing good deeds, one is still a doer, and therefore sankalp, vikalp cannot refrain from happening. I am doing it, this is mine, I did it, etc. That is sankalp, vikalp, you see. And because one cannot understand Vyavasthit, he will have thoughts like, what will happen to me now?
Dadashri dice, sí, por eso no deja que nada más se convierta en el hacedor, ¿verdad? De lo contrario, el mundo es Vyavasthit. Sin embargo, debido a la condición de hacedor, la imaginación, kalpana, surgirá inevitablemente. El problema se resuelve desde el momento en que uno se convierte en el no hacedor. Hasta entonces, la ira, el orgullo, el engaño y la codicia no desaparecerán. Incluso si uno pasa de hacer malas acciones a hacer buenas acciones, uno sigue siendo el hacedor y por lo tanto, Sankalp Vikalp no puede abstenerse de ocurrir. Y debido a que uno no puede entender Vyavasthit, tendrá pensamientos como ¿qué me pasará ahora?
You see, this I just came across a possible error in the original Gujarati, you see. But you see, so he's, when the person says, he says he does not let go of his doership, you see. One does not let go of his doership, you see. And so Dadashri says, yes. And that is why he does not let anyone else become the non-doer, does he? Not the doer, but the non-doer, all right? You understand, Patricia? Because,
yes.
Yeah, because if you and I are doers, then we will see everyone else as doers too. When you and I become the non-doer, then we begin to see that the other person is not really the doer, you see. So,
yes.
So he does not let anyone else become the non-doer here. See, this needs to be corrected, okay?
Acá,
but perhaps it is talking that we cannot let Vyavasthit become the doer, not other people.
Let me just look at this Gujarati again. Well, that is another way of looking at it. You see, right? Yes. In other words, if you are the doer, then yes, that's another.
Perhaps.
That is the interpretation. That is why I think that's the original interpretation. That's why it's not an error. So, when that is why he does not let anyone else become the doer, does he? If I am the doer, then I will not allow the Vyavasthit to be the doer, okay? I was looking at it from, so there are two ways of looking at it. But, otherwise the world is Vyavasthit, you see. So, you're right. Thank you, Fabi, for pointing it out. Yeah, right, okay. So, all right, Patricia, just go ahead.
Tradúcelo vos, Fabi.
Ok. Estaba intentando descubrir que parecía que si uno no deja de verse a sí mismo como el hacedor, no puede dejar de ver a los otros seres como hacedores. Pero en realidad esto estaba diciendo que si uno no deja de verse a sí mismo como un hacedor, es que no permite que Vyavasthit sea observado como el único y real hacedor. Hasta que no me corro de ese lugar, no puede entrar Vyavasthit a ese lugar de hacedor. Eso era.
Okay.
Gracias.
So it's correct here, but you have to understand that there are two ways of looking at it. There are two ways of looking at it. In the moment if I don't let go of my doership, the sense that I am doing it, then I will never let go of the idea that the other person is also doing it. You see, everybody else is doing this and doing that. Or you will continue to be in this faulty vision of the world. I am doing it, they are doing it, or others are doing it, you see, you're doing it or they are doing it, as long as that remains, then it is impossible to understand the real doer, which is Vyavasthit, you see.
Yes. Hay dos formas de ver esto, ¿no? Y una es, si no dejo de ser el hacedor, ¿no? De ver que yo soy el hacedor, otros van a seguir siendo los hacedores. Y esto se debe a una falta de visión. Y hasta que esto no se comprenda, no desaparezca, voy a seguir viendo a todos como los hacedores y no voy a comprender que el verdadero hacedor es Vyavasthit.
Okay, so my friends, we will take your 10 minutes break and then we will return. Yeah? Yeah, thank you, Fabi, Marcella, and Patricia. Okay, so let's take a break and then we'll be back in 10 minutes.
Ok, vamos a tomar un recreo de 10 minutos y volvemos. Thank you, Shuddha.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So we, yes, Sachidanand, shall we resume, continue?
Continuamos.
Does anybody want to share or say anything with reference to this magnificent Aptasutra?
¿Hay alguien que quiera decir o compartir algo sobre este maravilloso Aptasutra?
Yeah. You know, this Aptasutra 2951 is something that you is one of the most fundamental sutras in the science of Akram Vignan. Yes.
Yo, Carmencita, quería compartir algo.
Bueno, este es un sutra fundamental y acá Maritza quiere compartir algo. Maritza wants to share something.
Yes, Maritza.
No puedo activar mi cámara, así que no
Okay,
sé si se puede desde allá. Mire, lo importante es donde usted comentó, Shuddha, sobre los hospitalizados con la imagen del Dada, que ellos buscaban que los acompañara. Bueno, en mi caso, estoy hablando un poco extraño porque me sometí a una operación hace 3 semanas, una operación de un cáncer de tiroides con carcinoma papilar, y me di cuenta de lo bien acompañados que estamos los Mahatmas con Dada.
She wants to share that the most important thing you said is the people who goes to hospital that want to have the picture also, or the photo of Dada, and she has surgery of cancer and experience that we are not alone and the importance of Dada.
Claro, yo hace 4 meses, me encontró un cáncer, entonces lo primero que yo dije, bueno, ahora en adelante, Dada, acompáñame. Y todo se dio tan rápido, o sea, siempre tuve lo que necesité, inclusive el dinero, ni un peso más, ni un peso menos. Justamente todo lo que necesité se fue dando. Y el día de la operación estaba con él en mi velador y todos me decían, no tienes miedo, no tienes temor, y me di cuenta que no había temor, no había miedo, como que el desapego estaba en mí, estaba muy tranquila, muy pasiva, y bueno, y ese que me acompañaba en todo momento. Y hasta el día de hoy, mi pregunta en profundidad es una sola. Yo sé que en este plano Maritza, en mi alma pura, descubrió este Gnani. Quiero saber cómo lo puedo reconocer en otras vidas, porque yo sé que no soy el mejor Mahatma, no soy el más estudioso, pero sí sé que tengo el conocimiento en mí y quiero saber cómo voy a poder, o si eso hay una memoria de esta alma pura que en otra reencarnación pueda saber que ya descubrió en esta y encontró su Gnani.
During 4 months ago, she was told that she has cancer, and she said, please, Dada, come with me, stay with me. And everything comes to her, everything she needs, money, including her path was open and everything. And the day of surgery, people asked her if she was afraid, and she was not afraid because she was with Dada, and the picture in the light table besides the bed. And the great question she has is that Maritza discovered in this life the Gnani, and she knows it's not the best of the Mahatmas, but she wants to know if in the next life if she want, how she would recognize the Gnani and all this knowledge and this great experience.
This question was asked to Dada himself, Maritza. How would we recognize you in the next life? How would we find you in the next life?
Esta misma pregunta que estás haciendo, Maritza, se la hicieron a Dada. ¿Cómo vamos a poder reconocerte? ¿Cómo vamos a poder encontrarte en la próxima vida?
And Dadashri replied, he says, are you the driver of this train or am I the driver?
Y entonces Dada respondió, ¿eres tú el conductor de esto o soy yo el conductor?
Yeah, he says, you won't have to worry about finding me. I will find you just like I found you in this life. It is an error to think that we found Dada. In fact, Dada caught us from inside, you see, you know, connected with us. We were with the Gnani in a previous life, but we kind of walked away. But just like he says, even if you curse me, you're going to go to moksha.
Esta pregunta de creer que nosotros somos los que encontramos a Dada, no es así. Dada nos encontró. Y de hecho nosotros ya estuvimos con Dada en alguna otra vida. Y es Dada el que nos trajo, inclusive aunque lo hayamos, maldecido.
Yeah. Dada, you see, this Dada is this knowledge of the eternal, you see, that has set in inside you, you see. So Amapura and all of this of Maritza is temporary, it's destructible, nothing is permanent, you know. The body itself, of even a healthy body, is not forever, so, you know. So that is how it is.
El conocimiento de lo eterno, de que soy alma pura, ya no fue dado. Y de hecho Maritza, el cuerpo de Maritza es, como todos los cuerpos, es temporal y destruible. Aunque estemos sanos en algún momento, se va a terminar.
Just because a person has cancer in some part of the body doesn't mean that he or she is unhealthy. It's only the cancer, that part in which has the cancer is growing too much, and it's kind of stealing from the normal tissues around, you know, the normal cells around, you see.
Yes. De hecho, una persona que tiene cáncer no se puede decir que no sea saludable. Lo que se puede decir que el cáncer lo que hace es como robar las células que están alrededor.
Yeah, so if that person, you know, 99% of her body is perfectly all right, and if she says, I am healthy, there is nothing wrong with me, then the cancer doesn't affect her, you know, and the doctors take care of it, that part, you see. Or, you know, there might be a tiny little black spot on somebody's face and say, oh, I have cancer, you know, and if he says, I have cancer, then the cancer will sink him, you see. He will, you know, and even if it's taken out, he will be worrying, oh, is it totally out? Is it gone? Is it gone? Etc. See, so the fear sets in, you know.
Probablemente una persona esté 99% sana, está bien, y el cáncer solamente es un efecto y el doctor va a cuidarlo. Pero si esta persona continúa diciendo tengo cáncer y esto no le va a hacer bien, y además viene la preocupación y el miedo.
It's just like some kind of a trash that keeps on accumulating inside your home, you know, but as soon as you become aware of it, you just, you know, put it in the garbage and it gets taken away, and, you know, the home remains the home, you see.
A veces algo de basura se acumula en tu casa y cuando te das cuenta de eso, sacas lo pones con la basura y lo sacas afuera.
Yeah, it's yes, and, you know, you're here, you know, as a wonderful testimony of a Mahatma, of a Dada, that you are giving here as an experience, you know, yes, with all the energies of the self, you see.
Muchas gracias.
Acá estás dando un maravilloso testimonio de Dada.
Sí, y lo más importante, Carmen, es que la verdad, todos dicen, ¿dónde tienes tanta fortaleza? Oye, pero no tienes miedo. Y la verdad que ahí te das cuenta el nivel de desapego que tú tienes. porque para mí no es algo anormal, yo lo veo como mucha naturalidad lo que pasa. No tengo miedo, ¿me entiendes tú? Y eso es algo increíble.
She's saying that the people see her that she is detached about cancer, no fear, and she's okay.
Cancer is like a headache, you see. There are millions of causes of headache, and yet people say, I have a headache, that means something serious is going on. But that is not like that. Cancer, cancer, is the word induces fear, except for the people who have defeated it, you see, who have risen above it, and then they know that, all that fear was for nothing, you see.
Hay muchas personas que tienen dolores de cabeza y por ahí eso les da miedo pensar que tienen cualquier cosa. Y en realidad la palabra cáncer es la que da miedo. Y solamente las personas que lo trascendieron pueden conocer que es tratable.
Even our dearest Gnani Deepak Bhai had cancer of the kidney, you see, but it's gone. That's it. It's out.
Sí.
You see.
Exacto.
De hecho, nuestro querido Gnani Deepak Bhai tuvo cáncer de riñones y acá está, se curó.
Lo importante es decir que Dada no nos deja solo en ningún momento, él acompaña a todos sus Mahatma, independientemente que sea el más aplicado en las lecturas, o sea, el que está con él, está siempre su conocimiento y su sabiduría, y eso es lo más importante.
The most important thing she wants to say, to share, is that Dada is always with his Mahatma, even if it's not always present in satsang or reading, but she has the presence of Dada.
Absolutely. People say, oh, he took the Granvidi and then went away, never attended satsangs. It doesn't matter. It's not for us to judge the amazing, vast, invisible experience of the Akram Vignani in the Gnanvidi. You see, no human being can judge. It's not something that can be seen with the intellect. It's beyond the intellect, you see. Sooner or later, this seed will grow, you see. The Gnanvidi seed will grow.
Yes. Muchas personas han tomado el Gnanvidi y después nunca están presentes en los satsang. Pero eso no tiene nada que ver, porque en el Gnanvidi se recibe una tan invisible y vasta experiencia que no está mucho más allá del intelecto, y tarde o temprano siempre va a estar la conexión, ¿no? Tarde o temprano va a estar teniendo las experiencias.
Muchas gracias.
I want to share something, Shuddha.
Yes.
Little.
Estamos listos.
A lot of friends and people that took Gnanvidi online, even they have great experience and changes in their lives. On Saturday, I saw somebody that was my neighbor before, and I passed 5 minutes to say hello, and he was very happy to see me and come out and hug me and send me, I have it here all the time. I have it here all the time. And he's never in satsang, but that was the first thing he shared with. So happy, so happy. I have it here, I have it here.
Wonderful.
Le estaba compartiendo a Shuddha que hay un montón de gente que no está en satsang, y el sábado me encontré con un vecino que tomó el Gnanvidi online, y bueno, cuando lo vi le dio mucha alegría, me abrazó y lo primero que me decía es, lo tengo acá, ¿no? Como, y ya hace más de 2 años, more than 2 years that he took Gnanvidi. And I can see that the life of all of them have changed. have changed. And, y la vida de estas personas ha cambiado. And change positive. Positive. Con cambios positivos.
And the external is what you are describing. The internal is very subtle. What the internal experience of the Ama is the exact presence of the Lord. The Lord of the 14 worlds, the eternal one within all has now taken hold within that person, regardless of whether he attends satsang or not. You see, this, regardless of whether he follows the agnas or not. This is a very, very amazing thing that has happened. If it does not connect in this life, he will connect in the next life. You see, this is because these lives are like our days and nights. We sleep and then another day. It's just like that. So this is not as important as the establishment of the eternal inside at the subtlest level. You see.
Yes. No importa, la experiencia, la más importante es la interna, es el alma, es la presencia eterna del Lord dentro de todos nosotros. Estemos en satsang o no, estemos en las agnas o no. Y si no es en esta vida, será en la otra que se establecerá esta maravillosa conexión. Y el Lord se establece en un nivel muy sutil.
Yeah, So, Dada, I just some new words, and this is the Dadavani of June that I'm working on right now. June Dadavani is on Charan Vidhi and the Gnan Vidhis only. And Dada, she is asked, is this Gnan Vidhi, Dada, did you make it? That is a question, straight question to Dada. He says, this Gnan Vidhi, did you make it? Did you create it? You see? And Dadashri replies, go on.
Shuddha está traduciendo el Dadavani de junio, que es el Charan Vidhi, que está en el Charan Vidhi de Gnani Vidhi. Y hay una pregunta que le hacen a Dada y es, le preguntan, ¿este Gnani Vidhi lo hiciste tú?
Dadashri replies, this has come in Uday. Uday means like a sunrise. It has unfolded. It has unfolded. This is my Aishwarya. This is my lordliness, my godliness, this is the supreme manifestation of the energies of the self. You see, the energies of the self have manifest just like sun comes up on this earth. You see, it is arisen within us. He says it has arisen within us.
Yes. Y Dadashri le dice, yo no lo hice, esto vino, esto se desplegó, es mi divinidad, es como las energías del sol en el amanecer.
And Dadashri says, this is not my energy. It's not my energy. This is the energy of the Lord. Aishwarya. Ishwar means God, and let me write this down. Ishwar is the other Indian name. Ishwar means God, okay? God. And Aishwarya means godliness. So it is a kind of the supreme energy of the living God, godly, the absolute self. The absolute self does not talk, but how can it really kind of flower and give fragrance to others, you see? And then this is called Aishwarya. You see, it is evident, if you become enlightened and if it remains inside you, what use is it for the world, you see? But when you get this magnificent enlightenment, and it has to come out and reach the world, you see, to spread, to make a difference for other human beings, you see.
Yes. Yes. Y Shuar dice, esta no es mi energía, esta es la energía del Lord, es la energía de Dios. Y Shuar es Dios. Y Shuara es la suprema energía del supremo ser. Y no habla, pero sí tiene una fragancia. Y cómo le da esta fragancia a otros, ¿no? Cómo lo comparte. Y qué uso tiene, que si yo lo tengo y no lo comparto, ¿qué sentido tiene? Y es esto de tener esta suprema energía y compartirla, alcanzar al mundo entero y así poder crear una diferencia en los seres humanos.
Yeah, he says, what kind of Aishwarya, what kind of godliness? There are a lot of human beings who have godly qualities, but what kind of Aishwarya, what kind of the power of the self has opened up like a flower or arisen like the sunlight in this within us? Then the answer is in 2 hours. In 2 hours, the self is attained. The self is realized. Yes, in 2 hours. That kind of Aishwarya.
Yes. Dice, ¿qué clase de cualidades divinas florecen, no? O la luz del sol en el amanecer, ¿cómo lo podemos compartir? Y esto es en 2 horas. En 2 horas se entrega estas divinas cualidades y conocimiento y experiencia.
Yeah, and not only he says, I have experienced this, I have seen. You begin to experience that Ama, and I am in the total experience of it, and that Aishwarya, that powerful power and energy of this manifestation is infinite, and that is why just within 2 hours you too get it. You who, whether you're sitting in Buenos or Aires or in Posada or wherever you are sitting, you too get it. You too receive it. Yes.
Cuando estoy en el alma, estoy en total presencia de Aishvara, es lo infinito. Y todo esto se recibe en 2 horas, no importa si estás en Buenos Aires, en Posadas o donde estés. En 2 horas lo recibís.
In simple terms, Dada's Gnanvidhi happens, a person attains self-knowledge, Atma Gnan, knowledge of the self, and he gets moksha. Yes, this is a simple 1, 2, 3. Otherwise, in a million lives, it will and does not happen, you see.
El Gnanvidhi sucede, se obtiene el Atma Gnan y moksha. Y estas 3 cosas no suceden ni en millones de años.
Yeah. He
Solo
says,
en 2 horas.
This he keeps on marveling because he says this is the Aishwarya of the original self, the original self. This is not the Aishwarya of somebody in the middle, some Ama in the middle. This is the Aishwarya of the original self. This is not my energy. My friends, this is not my energy. This is of this one inside, this one inside.
Yes. Esto nos maravilla, ¿no? Ayuar es del ser original, dice Dada. No es de un alma que esté en el medio, no es mi energía, es la energía del ser interior que se manifestó.
He keeps on talking a lot about this. It will come in the June Dadavani, but I just gave you a little bit of the glimpse. It happened because we were talking about this Gnan Vidhi and the online Gnan Vidhis and the beauty of this whole process that we are living witnesses of in this world in 2022, you see, all of us.
El Dada habla mucho de todo esto en el Dadavani de junio, pero bueno, lo traigo debido a lo que estamos compartiendo, ¿no? La belleza de este proceso en este año 2022.
Okay, so thank you, my dear Maritza, for sharing this your experience, and let us now. Is anybody else, or shall we continue?
Gracias, Marisa. Y si hay alguien más que quiera decir algo, o continuamos.
And all right, so let me share now again. Now this. We were talking about this. This requires what we just read. It requires a little bit of further magnificent understanding. We were saying how fundamental this Aptasutra is in the Akram Vignan. You see.
Hemos estado leyendo esto y vemos lo fundamental que es este Aptasutra en el Akram Vignan.
It is a direct connection. It is the direct connection to the understanding of Vyavasthit and the removal of this me and mine. You see, this me and mine. I am doing and the doer. And this is happening to me. I am suffering, etc. So this, as long as any of this remains, that I am this or I am suffering or this is happening to me. You see, Vyavasthit in its exactness will not be understood. ¿Sí?
Acá Dada está hablando que mientras que continuemos sin el entendimiento de Vyavasthit, vamos a seguir diciendo que esto me está sucediendo a mí o esto o yo soy esto. Entonces, en la medida que sigamos creyendo en que yo soy el hacedor, no se va a poder establecer el correcto entendimiento de Vyavasthit.
Yeah. There is really no doer except Vyavasthit. You see?
No hay hacedor a excepción de Vyavasthit.
The role of Shuddha, Fabi, etc. is at the level of the evidence only. It's the evidence. Did I make the tea or coffee this morning? No. It was part of the evidence only, you see. Yes, part of the evidence.
Shuddha o Fabi pueden decir, yo hice el café esta mañana, y en realidad esas son partes de las evidencias.
This and also me and mine. I am this body, and this is happening to me, or something that is mine. This is so subtle, but now for all of us, having become the Amapuras, you see, and having entered into the increasing experience of the self, Amapura, you see, this other thing has been disconnected. Me and mine has been disconnected. We are aware that even though Maritza will say this happened to me, she knows inside that it happened to Maritza, not to me. You see, Eo Samapura.
Cuando nosotros estamos en el pensamiento, esto de yo soy este cuerpo o esto me pasa a mí es de forma sutil, pero siendo alma pura y con el conocimiento del alma pura, la conexión del yo y del mío se desconectó. Marisa inclusive sabe que esto le está sucediendo a Maritza y no a ella, que es el verdadero ser alma pura.
And because me and my have gone in the Gnanviti, anger, pride, deceit, and greed no longer remain as anger, pride, deceit, and greed. They remain as discharging reactions. There is not real anger, it's not real pride, it's not real deceit, it's not real greed. It's happening to file one. You say it is part of a discharging process.
Yes. Y en la medida en que el yo y lo mío fue separado en el Nambidi, todo lo que podemos ver que no hay ni ira, ni orgullo, ni codicia, ni engaño, y todo es un proceso de descarga del archivo 1.
So there are three parts here. There is this doership, the karta, and then me, and this is happening to me or mine. You say this. So this process, everything that we see in this world, in other human beings who are not Mahatmas around us, you see, is that they are entrenched. Their me and my and their kashais are real, you see, and they are, because their sense of doership has not been removed, through knowledge, through light, you see. They do not have the light, you see.
Yes. Y debido a esto de que yo soy este cuerpo o esto me pasa a mí, este sentido del hacedor es un proceso. Y lo que vemos en otros que no son Mahatmas, lo ven como algo real, que tienen el sentido de que son el hacedor o que las cosas le pasan o ellos hacen. Y esto sucede porque esta ignorancia no fue removida por la luz.
And Dada in here gives us a glimpse of the comparison between the last physical Lord, the last Lord's physical presence on this earth of ours, Lord Mahavir, you see, 2,700 years ago versus our Gnani Purush Dadashri, you see. It's not a comparison, but he says, the Lord did not give Vyavasthit to the world, you see. He did not declare that everything is absolutely Vyavasthit, you see. And yet our Gnani Purush Dadashri declared it for a very specific number of human beings, you see.
Yes. Dada nos da la comparación del último Lord viviente, Lord Mahavir, hace esta comparación, esto hace 27.000 años. Él tenía el conocimiento, pero no se lo dio al mundo, no lo declaró. Pero nuestro Gnani Purush Dadashri sí lo hizo a determinada cantidad de personas.
Most Mahatmas do have this absolute awareness of Soyamapura. That is not difficult, but when they go through difficulties in life, serious events, serious situations and events, you see, then this sense of this is happening to me or this happened to me kind of becomes a little more prominent. It's just a sense. It is not real, but it's a sense this is happening to me. Against that is the awareness that it's I am pure soul, you see. So the awareness is there, I'm pure soul, but it doesn't remain separate in exactness because of this lack of total understanding of Vyavasthit, you see. Lack of understanding Vyavasthit at a higher and higher level to understand this Vyavasthit, which is what we are all doing, right?
Yes. Los Mahatmas tienen la experiencia de yo soy alma pura y tienen el conocimiento, pero muchas veces cuando están pasando por eventos serios, tienen la sensación de que esto me está pasando a mí. También tienen el conocimiento de que yo soy alma pura, pero es como que surge la sensación de que esto me está pasando a mí. ¿Y por qué sucede esto? Porque hay una falta de entendimiento de Vyavasthit y esto tiene que ver con niveles mucho más elevados lo que estamos viendo nosotros.
With the onset of the Gnani Vidi and the understanding that arises naturally in the Gnani Vidi, you see, the day by day, Vyavasthit is the doer, is accepted by a Mahatma, you see, and Vyavasthit is doing this, Vyavasthit is doing this, Vyavasthit is doing this, and there is no other doer, you see, and there is, I didn't do it, and there, if Vyavasthit did it, then I didn't do it, and this other person didn't do it, and nobody did it. It's scientific circumstantial evidence that is doing it is a very profound new awareness along with the Amapura, which is always there, you see. The Amapura is there. Now this part has to rise, you see. This other part of the Vyavasthit has to rise within each one of us.
Yes. La pregunta que le hicieron a Dada sobre el Gnani, ¿no? Y el entendimiento, y contesta que el entendimiento surge naturalmente y surge el entendimiento naturalmente en Gnani día a día, y vamos viendo que Vyavasthit es el hacedor. Y en esto que día a día vemos que yo no lo hice, otras personas no lo hicieron, vamos profundizando el conocimiento y la conciencia, y cómo todo esto surge en el mundo, en todos.
And furthermore, you see, this first sentence is what happened to all of us in the Gnani Vidi. When the self, we used to be the one, the self was the one with the belief, the one who used to believe, I am Patricia, I am Marcella, you see. That one moved away from being the doer in the Gnani. How did he move away? The self attained the knowledge. That one attained the real knowledge of who am I? You see, who am I? The moment you say, I also am Apura, the soy Amapura, then you get separated from this relative doer, the relative one, the self that has the belief, and that is the science of Akram Vignan. He doesn't completely go away for us. He remains as the one with the belief called Bhavo, you see, but he is separated from us now, you see.
Yes. La primera oración es la que nos pasó a todos en el Gnani, ¿no? Pasar de la creencia de que yo soy Patricia, yo soy Maritza, se movieron del ser y del hacer a ser el ser, saber quién realmente soy, que soy alma pura. Entonces te separas de lo relativo, del relativo, que el relativo es el que tiene la creencia. Y si todavía quedaron restos de eso, queda en el vago. Pero el conocimiento está allí.
Yeah. My dear friends, our doership called Kartapano, okay, doership, our Kartapano has gone away in the Gnanvidi. And now what remains is that Vyavasthit is rising in its rising for us in for us in front of us. Vyavasthit is now rising in front of us. You see, this Gnanvidi takes away the doership. It went away in the Gnanvidi. Now Vyavasthit is therefore given as an agna first. Yeah, you remember, when something breaks, who broke it, etc. All of those examples, you see, Vyavasthit is first needs to be applied, and then it will become natural for each one of us, you see.
Yes. El hacedor Kartapanu se fue en el Nanvidi y surge el conocimiento de Vyavasthit. Entonces, para nosotros, todo lo que sucede ahora está sucediendo enfrente de nosotros. El Vyavasthit sucede enfrente de nosotros. En el Nanvidi, el hacedor se fue. Y recuerden el Agna, ¿no? Se rompió un vaso. ¿Quién lo rompió? Vyavasthit. Es aplicar y se aplica y surge naturalmente.
Absolutely. See, the Soyamapura is natural for each one of us, you see. Now, the awareness of Vyavasthit, a vision that this that is happening is Vyavasthit, you see. Not only happening outside, but inside Shuddha or Patricia is Vyavasthit. If this awareness is there, then no file is a problem. No file remains as a file, you see. So this is an amazing combination of how Agna number 2, 3, and 4 work with each other, you see.
Yes. Yo soy alma pura es natural y la conciencia de lo que sucede es Vyavasthit, afuera y adentro, y permanece. Entonces los archivos que se cruzan con Shuddha, con Patricia, esos archivos no permanecen, y recordemos el Agna 3 y 4.
In these three agnas, if there is a slightest slippage from why this is happening to me, oh, I'm hurting, nobody cares, then none of the other agnas will fit, you see. And none of the other agnas will really fit. Vyavasthit will not fit. Settling the file with equanimity will not fit. You see, so this thing is so critical that it has to be at the level of who you are, you see. Soyamapura.
En estas tres agnas, cuando nos ponemos a pensar por qué me sucede esto a mí, a nadie le importa, si yo no tengo esto bien establecido de que soy alma pura, ninguna de las otras agnas va a estar pudiendo ser vista y aplicada con total claridad y conocimiento, ¿no? Como que no encajan, ¿no? Es quién soy, yo soy alma pura.
This that we read today, this Aptasutra understanding, or the Aptasutra was originally pulled as a separate Aptasutra, and then in the editing process they tried to pull relevant material that would fit this Aptasutra. You see, it's not as if Dadashri himself is explaining the Aptasutra. You see, yeah, and because Dada's Aptasutra is such that it is openly understood. You see, there it is, right there in front of us. You see. But the more you look at it, the more the understanding arises. You see?
Yes. Yes. Este Aptasutra fue tomado porque es muy relevante y tan importante, pero es la palabra de Dada, ¿no? Que todo lo que sucede está ahí enfrente, y cuanto más lo miras, más lo entiendes.
Yeah.
Sí. Y antes solo estaban compilados los Aptasutras, y en el proceso de ir mejorando y revisando lo que hicieron es agregarle material que lo soporta. Entonces es como tener a Dada explicando su propio Aptasutra.
Gracias.
Yeah, right. Now, with this material that we read about, the explanation is from Aptavani 5, And this Aptasutra came later, around the same time, around the same time it came, I'll have to double check when the Aptasutra was originally published. But anyway, there it is. There is so much understanding of this Aptasutra built into the words of the Aptasutra, and we are extremely grateful for whatever understanding is provided in the original words of Dadashri.
Yes. Esto es del Aptavani 5, mientras que estaba haciéndose el Aptavani 5, este sutra apareció en ese mismo tiempo. Hay tanto entendimiento que nos permite poder limpiar tanto con este entendimiento que Dada nos dio.
And if by reading all of this and by attending this satsangs on the Vyavasthit, it only continues to help us in our awareness. In our awareness, it's not just simple words. Visiting this 100 times will open up new, and it will open up new curtains from in front of you. New curtains will go away.
Yes. Leer esto y estar en satsang de Vyavasthit continúa con el crecimiento de nuestra conciencia, y es como que las cortinas se van, cada vez que vamos profundizando, las cortinas se van corriendo y desapareciendo.
So, my dear friends, time for us to leave until we meet again. And today there is satsang of the Gnani too, right?
¿Hay satsang del Gnani también hoy? I think no.
No satsang. No. Okay. All right. No. Okay. All right. Okay. So wonderful. Yeah. Just Jai Sachidanand, thank you for your presence, and we really appreciate dear Marcella and Fabi and Patricia, for their presence in this satsang.
Thank you. And thank you.
Shuddha. Thank you.
Jai Sachidanand, Shuddha, gracias.
Muchas gracias.
Jai Sachidanand.
Jai
Sachidanand.
Gracias, Shuddha.
And we see, wait a minute, right? Yeah, right. We see a bunch of people at the, we see.
We were missing you. We were missing you, Shuddha.
Yeah, right. Yes, yes, Guillermo, right. Wonderful to see all of you. Yes, yes. So let us Exit full screen. I just want to share. Yes, wonderful. Yes, so good to see all of you. Jai Sachidanand.
Qué
Jai
lindo verlos.
Sachidanand.
Yeah, Jai Sachidanand.
Sachidanand, Chaco. Jai Sachidanand.
Yeah. There he is, huh? Chaco, and yes.
Chaco, yes.
Yes, all right, yes. So wonderful, yes.
Jai Sachidanand.
Yes.
Sachidanand,
Yeah, right. Yeah, right. Jai Sachidanand. Huh? Jai Sachidanand.
Jai Sachidana Shuddha, Jai Sachidana Patricia.
Yeah. Jai.
Jai Sachidanand.
So wonderful. Yes, while you